Welcome to the Power of Owning Your Career podcast, the show for women who are seeking more fulfillment in life and simply not getting it from their current situation. We focus specifically on careers, but hey, we spend a lot of time in our careers, so making changes here will definitely create an impact in your overall happiness. I'm your host, Simone Morris, and my mission is to empower women to succeed. I believe that in order to powerfully own your career, you must decide and claim that you want to sit in the driver's seat. You must know that you deserve better and be willing to not only do the requisite work, but be willing to go out on a limb to ensure your success. Each episode focuses on profiling a leader who is clearly demonstrating ownership of their career. Join me and my guests as we explore career journeys and bring you actionable strategies to use to get into the driver's seat for your career. Because ultimately, your career is your responsibility. Let's get into the show. In this week's episode of the Power of Owning Your Career podcast, I am pleased to be joined by Tanya Miller, who we have some things in common. She's an author, speaker, coach, and she has a project management background. And so I'm really curious to dive into the conversation with her about how she manages it all and is in the driver's seat for her career. Tanya, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Simone. I'm excited to talk and dig into things. I'm sure we're going to go deeper, so I'm ready.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell us immediately, when did you know that you were in the driver's seat for your career?
You know, honestly, I kind of had a plan in mind all along. I come from a background of both a family, my father was an entrepreneur, and then my mom, she was a stay-at-home mom the bulk of my life. And so knowing that, I knew that was where I wanted to end. So even with me starting out in corporate America, I always knew where I wanted to end. And so, if you will, I kind of was planning with the end in mind. And so I just, would take advantage of the different opportunities that were there in corporate America with resources, with training, with tuition reimbursement, with even, brown bags and different things like that, to leverage as much as I could to be able to implement it into my own business so that I could basically own my future, own my career, and own the path that I wanted to take.
This is so interesting to me. How early was it for you that you came up with a plan? In my mind, I'm imagining that this is not your first company and that you've had multiple companies, especially with exposure from your dad being an entrepreneur.
Honestly, it was so crazy. Somebody asked me, was this my first company? And it made me remember like my very first company, and it was with my cousin. And I want to say I was in elementary school. I have no earthly idea why I picked this particular business, but y'all, we had a cleaning business. I don't know why, because I don't like to clean up, but it was the business that we had. But that was actually one of the first ones. And, even after that, me and my friend in school were like, well, we're going to become published authors. So, I even took my thoughts and worked towards even trying to be an author in sixth grade and, start the entrepreneurship path that way. So like you said, it's been in me for a long time, but, the actual first one, with the state and the government, with the EIN, was probably about 15 years ago, and it was a consulting organization. And I actually had both a consulting company and a nonprofit around the same time.
Wow. So it seems like you've been very clear on what you want to do, what you want to get out of life from a very early age.
Yeah, good solid foundation, which, like I said, between my parents and then, honestly, them knowing that they did not have the opportunities that we had. They worked extremely hard to make sure we could, and sometimes, family didn't understand it, but when you see where we are today, can't help but be grateful because of the sacrifices that they made. And one of the sacrifices allowed me to have mentorship at a very early age and mentorship opportunities. And so I want to, say my first mentorship that I had was like in third or either fifth grade, and I get confused because I had the same teacher for both third and fifth grade, so that's why I can't remember specifically. But I had a mentorship, with the banker, and I got exposed to seeing beyond what was in my wheelhouse or in my community, or even with the access that I had. I got that exposed at an early age, and so yeah, like it's been in me for a very long time to kind of just know how to see the path and make it clear and work hard at it. So yeah, I take advantage of what's available because I know what it's like not to have it.
I love that. And what I want to ask you, since you've known for such a very long time, in your opinion, what is the formula for owning your career?
Honestly, I would say kind of like, if we talked a little bit about before of what the agile approach is, starting early, and looking at things and trying it out in advance. And so that in itself is it. Like, well, don't keep going down a path of saying, I want to be a lawyer when you've never talked to a lawyer. You've never been in the law office. You've never sat in the courthouse. You've never studied or even looked at some of the questions that are necessary for the LSAT. Like, do your homework, try to really make sure that it's something that you actually want to do, and the same goes for building a business. Like, don't just take advantage of it because that's what the popular business is that everybody's doing. Everybody's a life coach. So I'm going to be a life coach, but you don't even like talking to people. Like, you don't like listening, don't say you want to be an author, but you don't like writing. You don't like, I mean, you can get a ghostwriter, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to start to do the homework and really, investigate it and prove it out to make sure it's really something that you actually want to do. And that's where it ties into purpose. Like, you have to make sure that you can go to sleep with this, wake up with this, eat with this, all of it, so that you'll know that when the as they say, the rubber meets the road, that you're not just going to stop it. You're not just going to quit. You're not just going to drop it. Now, absolutely, do things change? Do things evolve? And, yeah, but you at least to start it out, to make a plan, you need to try it out for yourself and really find out if that's really a part of your purpose and a part of your future, because it makes no sense planning for something and you don't even know what all it entails.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing you say is that you really have to be passionate about what it is you're interested in, and we must do the work to get clarity on the thing that we're passionate about, so that, in the face of adversity, we can continue to go on.
Absolutely, which are times that we've been in, part of this 2020. You have to be able to have that passion and purpose, to still keep going in the face of adversity, in the face of, life happening, for you to know that this is really the thing that you're supposed to be doing.
What's really interesting to me is that you are still doing your 9 to 5 and having your side hustle. And so I love what you just talked about. I wonder if you could take that into the corporate America space. Is that still applicable for those people that are still in corporate? What is your advice for them in terms of owning their careers and being in the driver's seat?
Wow, like I could be here all day. you know, that's really it. You can be in that job and you can let the job run you, if you will, or you can take even the entrepreneurial mindset in a corporate America job and own your path, own your opportunities, own your exposure. Because, okay, yeah, they may say you can't, there's job freeze and you can't apply for a job. But there's still things like brown bags; those are free. There's still things like Lindia and you. I want to say, is it Udemy? And then sometimes they even have 24-hour books, and there's a lot of resources that are just a part of your job that are free, that so many people don't even take advantage of. But you can literally use some of those things and get classes done for free, certifications done, and you can use that to leverage for when opportunities are available for you to transfer, when opportunities are available for you to, apply for another role. And, a lot of times they'll say, well, I don't see this in your, your background, or you were doing this job as an analyst and you wanted to move to a specialist. But if you can provide to them the work you've been doing on your own to let them know, hey, I know, but I have this experience, I have this training that I've been doing. As a matter of fact, I've even taken some classes as well. That helps. In addition, taking ownership of your career, like I said, brown bags, even a lot of organizations, they have affinity groups and networking groups that for different things, like minorities and women and, disability, all these different groups. A lot of those groups have boards, and those boards a lot of times have chair people that are at a higher level, that if you begin to work and partner and volunteer on those boards, you can make connections and networking and get your face out there as well. That's an opportunity. Then you have things to where, hey, if there's somebody on your team or somebody you even know on another team in a group that you want to learn more about what they do, you have a lunch hour. Ask them if they have that time. You can set up they may have formal mentorship programs, and those are good to apply for as well. But you can ask somebody for an informal mentorship, or even say, hey, can I shadow you for a day? Can I come and see what you do, and on my lunch break, and just kind of learn it, because I want a little bit more exposure in it, and I want the opportunity to be able to see where things are at. So that's a part of it, and that's just within your company. There's a lot that you can do externally, being a part of networking groups and different organizations outside of your company, that you can meet different people and network as well. The main thing about owning your career when it comes to corporate is just that they, I know it's probably rough to say it like this, but we live in a day where not layoffs happen all the time. Um, Reductions in force happen all the time. Furloughs happen all the time. And you could have been the best employee ever. Like, you could have been hitting all your marks, but they decide to cut this program. They decide to, the market was bad and they want to get out of this product or side of the business. That all happens, and there's nothing you can do about it. So what you can do is make sure that you own your career and you own your path, and you make the inroads and you make the things happen to where you can leverage everything. I tell people all the time, use it all. You can use everything that was available to you and use that for the next opportunity and next experience. So yeah, I told you I could talk about it because I got all like that's where the leadership part comes in, because I start really going in. But yeah.
Yeah, no, you had some really great ideas. I can really speak to the employee resource group or business resource group space, because my background includes leading a ERG for about 4 years. And you're absolutely right in terms of exposure to senior leaders and networking, just being clear what it is you want in your career, so that when these opportunities do present themselves, when someone says, how can I help you, you're ready with whatever that ask is that you want for support. So spot on with everything that you said. I want you to talk to our listeners about how you took advantage of professional development, whether it's tuition reimbursement, whatever it is, because you told me in the intro that you're a Scrum Master and you're Lean Six Sigma certified, and these are investments of time and money just to differentiate yourself. So talk to us about that experience.
Yeah, so I actually got introduced to mind sprints and Scrum when I was intern on a term appointment at my time when I worked at NASA in Virginia. And I got some, even it wasn't an official certification, but we did get training on it. And then there was a lot just exposure to it early on. I want to say this was probably back in 2009, when it was very early, 2010. And so just learning all of that at an early time, when it was even coming out, I knew that was something I wanted to do. I knew, just even learning about the methodology, I knew it was a path that I wanted to take. And I knew it, like literally listening to it, I was like, I need to shift my career in that area, because what I found as I began to kind of do a audit, if you will, or a look back at my career, I may have did, a role as a treasury person, or even a finance person, or an accounting person. But when I began to look back at what I actually did, I was always on projects. Always. I was always working some type of a corporate initiative, headquarter initiative, always. And so I may have started out in doing that type of work, a control audit role, but I always ended up in some type of a project role and assignment for the bulk of the time I was working there. And so I began to realize the industry is finance, accounting, and audit. But the reality of where I actually am suited is for project management type work, and, change management type work, and even disaster recovery and business continuity. And so I leveraged that in my next role that I got when I relocated from Virginia to Texas, and that's home. And I leveraged that, and I leveraged those experiences to be able to speak to it. So it may have said I did all these things, but I was able to leverage it and to be able to get that new role that I got as well. Because one of the things that I tell people when I interview, because they always say, you have a very diverse background in what you do. And I said, yes. I said, because what I do translates across industries. What I bring to the table, it transcends that. So no, like if you're looking for a SME, and specifically in mortgages and mortgage, background, no, that's not what I'm not the person. But if you're looking for a person that is fundamentally able to project manage audits, to be able to speak around change management, and to manage that inner workings, and to liaison with different organizations across the company, and to be able to get you guys to fulfill whatever you need and do well at business writing, I'm your girl. But no, Tanya is not just me if that's what you're looking for. But that's where I was able to really iron out and carve out the next levels of where I was trying to go in my career. And so with each opportunity, I began to do that, and still taking advantage of the time to be able to, go to school, to be able to participate in different organizations that were in the companies as well. Because I learned that early on, very early in my first job. Um, One of the things somebody kind of told me was, you know, even if it's not something that you think you want to do anymore, before you leave, try to get as much exposure, try and get as much opportunity, try and get as much that is available to you here now, so you can use that for where you're trying to go. And learning that, I applied that from that day forward, and used it. And so, I always take advantage of, a charity, if there's a charity or uh, committee, and partnering and being a part of that, or volunteering, those are things that I do myself a lot of times, and use those. And I've done, like I said, tuition reimbursement. I'm on hold right now. I have to say this before I tell you, but I was going for my doctorate as well. And then, just even, taking the time to get the certifications that I got for Scrum Master and Lean Six Sigma. Like, I just believe in using everything that's available to you and taking advantage of it, to capitalize on it, to take you to that next level of where you're trying to go. Because the way you get there is by you being at the driver's seat, you owning it, and you charting your own path from, not just what's available, but even sometimes what you make happen for yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Was there ever a time when you found yourself in the passenger seat? Because I get the impression that you, as you've said earlier in the interview, that you've been in the driver's seat with a clear plan for so long. Was there ever a time where you took your hands off the wheel and you played the passenger role? And what did you do to overcome that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, transparently, I tell people, the testimony that my husband and I share. Early in marriage, we were both either unemployed or laid off 6 times in 7 years. So yes, Tanya was definitely hit and thrown in the back seat, not just the passenger seat, the back seat. And it was hard because that was when the recession hit as well. And it was a lot of challenges that happened, but in them, literally, I tell people I learned so much. Even getting thrown to the back seat, I worked my way up and I figured out a way to get back to the passenger seat, to get back to the front seat and use every advantage because, you know, I had to leverage them. I knew because um I'll tell you the position I had at NASA. It was a term position. It was intern, so it was not civil servant. But before that, I was at NASA, but I was a contractor. That was only a 1 year contract. So I tell anybody the fact that I was able to leverage a position that was only supposed to be for 1 year into 3 years, I did good. You know what I'm saying? And so I learned from each setback. I learned from each thing that happened to be able to use it and to apply it and to be able to even pivot, if you will, from how things happen. Because literally I moved from Texas at marriage to Virginia, and the work that I did in Texas didn't exist in Virginia, that area we were in. And so I had to pivot and go to the other side, if you will, of my education and career, the side I didn't want to do. I'll just be honest, but I had to make a decision and I made it and I pivoted. And even in that, I decided this may be where I'm at, this may be what I have to do, but I'm going to take advantage of everything that I'm able to do, that my manager and my director, that she'll open me to and avail me to, because I won't stay here. And you have to make up your mind with that. Like, that's how you own it. Like, I'm not staying here. I'm going to do what I need to do here. I'm going to show up. I'm going to be great. I'm going to be excellent. I'm going to excel. But I also know that just because I got pushed to the back seat, that I don't have to remain in the back seat as well. I can work my way back. And that's exactly, what I did. So yeah, no, I've had setbacks, Simone. Yes. Major wins, major.
Awesome. Well, I thank you so much for your transparency and sharing, what is your testimony. I think it will be useful and helpful to our listeners. And I so appreciate the time that you have spent with us just talking about your career journey and leaving solid nuggets with us in terms of career. I heard you talk about mindset and the importance of having the right mindset. Again, taking advantage of educational opportunities, not just educational opportunities, but all opportunities that come your way, and leverage your skills. It can continue to build on the skills that you have and so much more. We just are grateful for you stopping by the podcast and just sharing your knowledge. Please share with our listeners, you have a gift for them, and then also tell us how we can stay connected with you if we'd like to after the podcast.
Absolutely, yes. So if you connect with me and join my fam at bit.ly, all caps join fam, you get 20% off your first order at shop.tanyajmiller.com. So I have 3 projects that I've written that include books, journals, message apparel, and different things like that. So the 20% off is really a good deal for you to take advantage of. And then there are actually also free courses that I have too. So at school.tanyajmiller.com that you might find useful. So literally, they're free. All you got to do is sign up and get them. And, they talk to you also about a mindset. They're courses on life and leadership. So definitely that's how you can get a hold of me for any of those things. But I'm on social media under Talking with Tanya. That's Tanya. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So definitely check me out. Follow me. Of course, always looking to connect and to help you to do life and leadership unapologetically. unapologetically on purpose. So I have enjoyed the opportunity to talk about, success, career, mindset, the whole nine. And I've enjoyed talking with you guys, especially you, Simone. Thank you as well. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You're most welcome. And I'm sure that we are going to continue to see great things from you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. It is my hope that you enjoyed today's episode. You can check out the show notes for this episode on the SimoneMorrisEnterprises.org website by clicking the podcast menu. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and tell a friend or two about it.